Hello and welcome to Unclecthulu Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about Wargames Soldiers and Strategy magazine. So it's a review of the magazine, but it's not really a review of the edition. What it is kind of a review of what to expect if you to go out and buy this magazine. Now, Wargames Soldiers and Strategy is probably one of the younger ones which are on the market. Certainly, Wargames Illustrated and Miniature Wargames have been around at least 30 years. And Wargames Soldiers and Strategy are coming up to issue about 100, which would make it wee bit of maths, 12, 8, about 8 years. But it's published every other month as well. I don't know if it's always been published every other month. It was originally produced in Spanish language and translated over to English. So what do we get in each one? Well, each one has a theme. And the themes tend to be a bit more historical kind of war or conflict. So, for example, this one is the War of the Roses. And the one underneath is kind of Weird War, World War II, sci-fi, fantasy, and alternative history in World War II. And that's another thing you'll see in Wargame Soldiers and Strategy, is they'll tend to push the kind of historical envelope a wee bit. It's certainly not a highbrow history mustn't be changed sort of style of Wargames magazine. So what do we get into? See, I travel with the magazines in my bag, so this one's looking a bit brow eating or dog eating. Love that. And I really like print magazines, because you never know when you're going to just have 5-10 minutes where you can pull out a magazine and have a look at it. So, editorial. So, Guy Bowers, the editor. Now, I have written Wargame Soldiers and Strategy WSS letter before and got quoted in the editorial, which was pretty awesome. So, one of the things coming up is the miniature reviews. So I'll just... Now the miniature reviews, as you can see, is quite in depth. You've got scale markers next to the models. Whether it's because it's every other month, but you do seem to have a lot of miniature ranges reviewed, as you can see there. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages for miniature reviews. Then we're into Wargames magazine with 2 pages with no photos. What's going on? Well, actually, this is a series of sort of columns they have. So this is Richard Clark, one of the Wargame authors, and I really like the fact that it's got columns. And then we're into the articles, and actually a lot of these articles, certainly at the start of the magazine, are kind of 2-page articles giving you a wee taste there, stuff to think about if you're refighting a battle or a wee piece of history. So just looking through there, like I say, it's full colour throughout, as you'd probably expect from a modern magazine. Again, the production really nicely produced, even just around the edges with the artwork. So I'll just flick forward, different features. And again, this is kind of another tabletop tactics. Henry Hyde talking about the history and how it plays out on the tabletop. And then we're into the theme. So, the War of the Roses theme there. So we can now expect several articles on the War of the Roses. There'll be, first article will give you an overview of the history, and then it'll break it down into kind of wargaming articles. So they will create a campaign for the Wars of the Roses. Some nice pictures there of different scale models. Scuffles and skirmishes with the War of the Roses. Refighting a battle, Stoke Field. And then this is really interesting. So at the end of every theme, what they'll do is look at the most of, if not all of the manufacturers for miniatures for that range, showing you what's available and what scale, talk about the depth of the range, showing off some of the miniatures. And it's sometimes interesting. I mean, I know quite a bit about Wargames ranges, but it's sometimes really interesting to see stuff. And sometimes you see a manufacturer that you might not have considered doing a particular range before. It's also really cool seeing the different scales as well. So something that's going down to 10 mil. Yeah, so there you go. It's 10 mil up. So looking through, they always have a wee couple of pages dedicated to how they've done the sort of dioramas on the front of the magazine, sometimes with a few kind of hobby tips. Another sort of irregular column, how to get your hobby mojo back. Something about doing something with a train. A painting guide. I actually use this painting guide to great effect. Painting a Panzer IV no airbrush by hand, which is really good. Then I think, oh, let's play Strontium Dogs. And then we've got some game reviews as well. And then we're kind of into the digital version of the magazine available there. Oh, book reviews as well. And then the final parting shots, which is quite a nice touch. You've got a wee Dyson with Die sort of comic strip, and you've got some notes about what the people work in the magazine are doing with the hobby as well. So like I say, well thumbed copy there, and there you go. You've got exactly the same amount of content and hobby in the other one. So yeah, Wargames Strategy and Soldiers, or Soldiers and Strategy, WSS I should say. So, 2 stars, 1 wish, using a primary school kind of way of grading things. First star is probably the most important star for me, is it's probably the one that's most focused on wargaming and the hobby. As you've seen there, the sort of columns, you've got people involved with the hobby talking about things connected with the hobby. You get Rick Priestley talking sometimes about it, and it could be about rules, inspirations, like an article in that one there talking about getting your hobby mojo back. And you've seen as well that when they do the theme, yes, you've got one article which is a history of the theme, but then you've got 3 or 4 articles which is linked to the history of it, but focused on wargaming. And I like to think you've seen the amount of the way the miniature reviews are there, really in-depth miniature reviews at the end of the theme, seeing the miniatures and the different scales. So yeah, that's my main star. Well, my second star would be the theme. I've talked about how it follows through and links it directly to wargaming without too much sort of history there. But also, like I said, I've just said, seeing the miniatures at the end. And my wish, well, this is my favourite Wargames magazine I can walk into W.H. Smith's and pick up, and it's only published every 2 months. So I wish it could be monthly. Now, one of the things I have found is they've done a podcast. Now, I don't know if the podcast is monthly or bi-monthly, because I've so far only listened to 1 episode. But I really enjoyed that, and hopefully that will fill the gap in my off months while I'm waiting for Wargames Soldiers and Strategy to turn up. So that's Wargames Soldiers and Strategy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.